lawyer one, I like that. All right, I will call the meeting of the Pleasant Valley Planning Board to order. There is one change on the agenda for tonight. Milestone Square EV car chargers, the first item on the agenda, has been removed for tonight. So the second item on the agenda is the Jeremy Joyce subdivision. If the applicant is here, we'll start with you. Thank you. Good evening. If you would just make sure that microphone is on. If you push the button, the red light. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So I'll just get into it then?
Yes, please, and state your name for the record.
Yeah,
please.
so my name's Matt Town from Willingham Engineering, Willingham and Town Engineering. So this was before the board a few months ago. It's a 6-lot subdivision on a 54-acre parcel of land in the R5 district. Just a few, it's pretty much all wooded now. There's going to be 2 different access points. This is actually Parksville Road and then Drake Road over here for the 6 different lots. Common driveways. There's DEC wetland, a stream going through here with floodplain. Army Corps wetland over there. We had a positive DEC jurisdictional determination. DEC has been to the site. They delineated it already, so we have all that information. But basically, we went through the town engineer's comments from last time, and I did just receive his review letter, so I don't know if I should go through that or he should go through that, or
If you have any comments on what he said, that would be good, and then
Sure.
I'll turn it over to Greg and let him
Sure,
comment.
yeah. So, I mean, the big one, the area of disturbance, and he indicates he reviewed and found it to be 4.85 versus the 4.6, and that's right. I had the 4.85, except I subtracted out what we found to be and believed to be a gravel road on the site. So there was a mine back here, and there's what's shown as a dirt road on the map. But we noticed rock coming up in some spots, so we did a little bit of investigation, uncovered it in a couple areas, dug down, found that there's a pretty substantial gravel road going all the way back to the area that was previously mined. So I know that some more exploration on the extents of that needs to occur, but from my reading of the DEC Speedies permit, construction activities does not include routine maintenance to be performed, and I'm quoting directly from Appendix A. Routine maintenance that is performed to maintain the original lighting grade, hydraulic capacity, or original purpose of a facility. That includes regrading of gravel roads. So that's page 57 of the Speedies permit. So that's why I excluded that portion. I understand at this point there are areas of that road that there's a little bit of dirt on and it would need to be removed and we'd have to put gravel on it. So you know, it's kind of a little bit of a gray area there, but it does seem to be resurfacing. That's my reading of this. So that was kind of one of the bigger points on here that I wanted to address. Understand that, yeah, over 5 acres does require a full SWIP. So we are, even including that road, you know, we're getting close to the 5 acres, but we're at 4.85. If we exclude that gravel road, we're at 4.6. So we've got a little bit of breathing room, but that's something we're still working on. So yeah, we do need to meet with the highway department still. And then, yeah, wetland permit will be required. This portion, the DEC isn't regulating. So, and I can share the correspondence. They are regulating, it's over here, but I have correspondence with them.
Because that was not clear yeah, that was not clear. It would be good to get that correspondence because
Yeah.
as I saw the hatch symbol type, I thought all of that to the west was regulated by the DEC, which you're saying they're not
Yeah, no,
going to regulate that.
they specifically said they weren't gonna regulate the wetlands that went up that
Okay,
tributary
okay.
portion. But yeah, I can provide you with that correspondence. What else was there? So the trees, we're a little confused as to what exactly needs to be done for that. So maybe we can talk about that a little more.
We can, after Greg goes through, it's just as a comment, it's been the practice at this board when there's a subdivision, to request that you mark the housing spots and the drives, and then the board will do a site visit.
Yes.
One of the things is just to assess, which we can do more clearly from a site visit, the impact of the housing sites. You know, our new code asks us to avoid hilltops, ridgelines, things like that, to the extent possible. So it's a site visit to just come, and also with, as far as the trees, to kind of take into account where the trees on that property would impact, say, habitat migration or other stands of trees nearby, because one of the things that we've begun to do as well is when you have a subdivision like this, mark certain areas of the subdivision as no further disturbance, meaning so that the properties, they're not under easement, but it's just on the plat, trying to keep certain stands of trees if they protect site views, either for these houses or for other houses, if they protect habitat corridors, and also if they protect runoff. I'm not looking at a topo map right now, but depending on where you might be creating runoff because of disturbance and where we can mitigate that with preserving stands of trees. And so that's something, as you go through the process, we would delineate areas on your final site plan, your final subdivision plan, that would say these trees to remain, so that someone couldn't decide to go out and put a shed out back and cut down those trees when they're important to any of the things I've just enumerated.
Sure.
So, so that's sort of, and it's, you know, it's something that tonight the board will discuss and try to keep it moving, and also to be out there before the snows come, because it's much easier to see. So that would be something that we'd be asking for in early December before the next meeting.
Okay. So are you saying during the site visit you would come out and look at some of the areas of trees, or you would
Yes.
want us to do that? You would
No,
come
we
out.
would
Okay.
come out. And
Okay.
so what we ask
Yeah.
is, you don't have to stake every inch. It's just putting a few stakes where the housing sites are, a few stakes to indicate where the roads will go, the common driveways. And then it allows the board to come out with the maps and to get a sense of both the property in itself and its integration with the wider area.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, so whenever we can set up that site visit.
Okay, we'll do that tonight.
Great.
Yeah. Greg, do you want to go through comments?
Other than that, most of my comments, I think they addressed most of the stuff. They went through and they changed the table that talked about the environmental constraints on the properties. They got that squared away. You know, we talked about the area disturbance. And other than that, most of the comments have been addressed or acknowledged. So, yeah, so they
Okay.
yeah.
Going through that. And one of the things that the board, it's incumbent upon the board to do is to, in looking at 8226A1, where that was added in, and that's the natural resource analysis, and it's just identifying features that they think are important natural features to be maintained. And that's something you really don't get as well from just a plat, so that's why we go out and do, because you may not think a rock outcrop or something is important to the property, but it may be something that the planning board or members of the planning board might. So it's important just to do that site visit.
And with that being said, one of my comments was to add the steep slopes on the S3, 4, and 5,
Okay.
just because that's where the houses are shown, so it's more pertinent
Yeah, as you can see the development areas
Yep.
relative
to the steep slopes.
Jim, any comments?
No, I just noticed that Greg had included a note, if you will, about the site visit in his resolution, and discussed that.
Okay. Okay, any comments at this stage from the board? And just making a note that Suzanne Horn and Michael Kozak are seated tonight as alternates. All right, so for tonight, it's basically just the initial resolution that we're establish a site visit, establish ourselves as lead agency, and so I think, any comments before? Okay. All right, so I will make a motion that whereas a formal application for the approval of a six-lot subdivision of a 53.97 acre parcel entitled Joyce Subdivision has been submitted to the planning board, and whereas upon review of the long-form environmental assessment form submitted by the applicant, the planning board determines that this application is an unlisted action as the application exceeds the threshold for a type 2 action for construction of a single-family home and does not meet the threshold for a type 1 action for construction of 50 residential units, and that the board will conduct a coordinated review. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board directs planning board staff to circulate the intent to be lead agency to all involved agency, and be it further resolved that the planning board will schedule a site visit to evaluate the applicant's resource analysis assessment primary as it relates to the preservation of trees and effects on the view sheds. Conditions to be met prior to circulation are completion of, has that been done yet? The completion of D2
Yeah,
fully
I
out.
don't know that he had gotten that, in the long form, the D2C6.
Okay, I don't think I got, that was another review?
Yes, that was another review.
Okay.
That's just a comment to
Yeah, and
fill out. That's a condition of this resolution.
Okay.
D2C6.
All right. Do I have a second? Second from Priya. All in favor? Great. All right.
If water supply was maximum capacity.
Before we go any further, in this case, I would suggest our usual practice is to have a visit, and I think we'll have to on a Saturday, because otherwise we'd be out there in the evening in the dark. The next meeting of the planning board is the 10th of December, so we would want to do it before that. I would suggest either the 6th or 7th of December, that Saturday or Sunday. Does anyone have preferences? 7th, okay. Sunday?
What time?
What time? Afternoon? Around 2 o'clock, so we don't get late? 2 o'clock? All right. Sunday the 7th at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
And we will meet you, where is the best place to meet?
Yeah, so this drive exists, it's the dirt gravel drive.
Okay.
So we could kind of pull in there.
Okay,
Jeremy, do you have any?
is that okay?
Yeah,
All right,
I think this is the best spot.
okay. And if we need to, we can follow you, so we're not walking miles, but we'll just see once we get there.
Yeah.
All right, so we will meet you, Sunday the 7th at 2 o'clock. At that spot. Thank you.
Sounds great. All right, thanks a lot.
All right. The next item on the agenda is the continuation of the public hearing for the Michael Schroeder multifamily construction on South Avenue. And before we reopen the public hearing, I know Michael has resubmitted after planning board comments, a new elevation. So I will let you go through those. Thank you.
Good evening. So, Michael's gone through and he's had the elevations updated with the architect. So you can see that there's dormers on the front now, and there's a ridge on all the porch roofs in the front. The window sizes have been changed, and there's also a water line across the front where there's stone down below the windows with like a sill underneath the siding.
And this is the stone, the color that's being proposed.
Yes.
Okay. Can everyone see that? Fine. Any comments?
Well, I just want to say thank you for taking another look at it. You listened to a lot of the comments that we made, and this is a huge improvement. Just want to say we appreciate that. My only kind of thing that is, I don't know if I think we had talked about making those dormers just kind of they're not actually accessible, and
Yes.
they're just kind of overbuilds. So maybe making it so that they're not one big gap, another.
Equidistant.
Yeah, kind of spacing them out equidistant, like, so the
Oh.
one that's in the middle, kind of left, goes over one and is over the other windows.
So you're saying just space them equally?
Yeah, just like space them
Okay.
equally, because it looks a little funny. But what I do appreciate is that it looks like townhouses, honestly, and I think that's much better than one massive building that doesn't have a ton of character. So,
Okay.
I think they were trying to do the dormer right over.
I get it. I know what the intention was, but that's it just feels, but that's a very minor thing. So.
Any other comments? Aesthetically, everyone approves of changes? Thank you. I will make a note that we did have a site visit to the site as planned, and we followed the rules of no discussion, just information, because there were 4 of us there. We did discuss or receive the information of how the swales would be, and if you'd point to that on that side, we were talking about how this was the water that would come down there and the ground would be left higher. Maybe you could go through what you were talking about that day, and what would protect from water flowing onto the neighbor's property.
So, sorry guys.
That's good.
So what's gonna happen is that right now there's an old road that goes along the back of the property right in this area here, and that cuts off all the uphill drainage area, and discharges it to this property to the north. Along the southern property sideline, there's also like a bermed up area. It seems like it's the remnants of the areas being farmed and developed in the past. And that similarly keeps the drainage onto the lot to the south and discharges it up to South Avenue. So we're actually essentially an isolated property, but in its current state, it discharges to two places. It discharges centrally to the property on the north, and the front half of the property discharges to the roadside ditch along South Avenue. What's proposed is that we're actually going to grade a swale along the northern property line to cut off any runoff that would want to go onto the property to the north. Part of that part of that drainage is gonna be cut off anyway, because we are gonna lower the existing grade fairly significantly, probably about 6 feet, and that's gonna bring us below the property to the north. So the water essentially from behind the building forward is not going to be able to, it'll have to go uphill in order to get onto the property to the north. And we're going to take all that, we're going to bring it up to the front yard, we're going to treat it, and then we're going to discharge it to the swale on the side of South Avenue, which ultimately discharges to a storm sewer system to the north, which goes to the creek at the intersection with South Street and South Avenue and 44. I did make a couple little revisions, also just to the county asked for a couple radiuses and stuff to be tweaked a little bit at the entrance, but there's minimal changes to that aren't really relevant at this point.
Okay. Any questions on the drainage? I also know you've spoken with the engineer about because Rob Frecchia did confirm where the septic was. We discussed that the day we were out there.
I did move the well. I moved the
So
well
the well
about,
is moved.
I moved the well about 10, 15 feet. I also moved the area that I showed as the existing adjoining sewage disposal right here. It was a little bit further to the north here on the other side of the driveway. And I put it on
And
what
you've got it
is
where
on the south side of the driveway.
Okay. Okay, great. Any further questions or comments for the applicant before we reopen the public hearing? All right, hearing none, I'll make a motion to reopen the public hearing. Do I have a second? Second from Heather. All in favor? Great. Is there anyone that would like to speak tonight? Yes, please.
I didn't have to go first. Donna Cookless, 96 South Avenue. Hi, everybody. I just have a question about, and I appreciate the changes. I noted them. I just have a question about the drainage to the county road. If I'm understanding him correctly, maybe I'm not. He's saying that there's like drainage in front of his property and that it's gonna go to the grates to the north of his property, if I understand him correctly. There is no piping in front of his property. There's no pre-existing drainage. So the drains, the grates that are at the bottom of our driveway do connect to the north to the Verizon building. They do not connect south to the drainage that is south of his property. There is no drainage in front of his property. So that is really concerning me, because I'm wondering who's paying for that drainage to be installed, to go to wherever he's going to put it. So
do you want to speak to that?
I haven't seen a specific plan that calls for that, but I know that right now, any of the drainage that would come to the county road, the county is gonna dictate how that drainage has to be managed. It's typically not a town, issue because it is a county road.
Right.
So I don't know if they're requiring any kind of a catch basin or a swale. I know they asked for a drainage easement, but I don't know if they indicated what they intend to do within that easement.
The easement is vague, and it is basically for the possibility of sidewalks in the future, drainage in the future, or other utilities or road widening. It doesn't, their comment is not, it's just a 10-foot wide easement, so really, there's not much that will be done there, and I mean, they did come through and they shaped up the roadside swale, a few months ago. So there is remnants of a swell there, and we will be up there, cleaning up that part of the property anyway. So anything that we do up there will be an improvement on the swell. There's actually little to no shoulder there either, so
It's tight.
no.
So, well, anyway, that is my concern because of, like, if it's being patched into the one that's down at the bottom of our driveway, then that will affect, the front of our property. We have our mailbox there. We have some of our septic drainage is in that spot. So, that is a concern for us.
So, and what, they'll have to provide a stormwater pollution prevention plan that will go through and identify how the stormwater will be managed to not increase runoff off of the property. So that would all be included in that, which has not yet been finalized.
Okay, and
So
who
I
would
can't
be
an-
paying for that?
They, to prepare the SWIP and everything is their responsibility.
Well, like, if they have to do, like, work on the road
That,
in order for
that
this
would be
property.
between them and the county.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know that the county would pay for it, but I can't speak from the
Yeah,
town
yeah,
standpoint.
because
But
this
it would
is the
be,
town board of planning
it would,
board,
yeah, it would be between them and the county.
So, well, those are just like some of my concerns, and then, again, I do appreciate that he's trying to make a very large effort not to have any additional water going onto our property, because that would significantly, affect the value of our property, and it would affect our septic system. So I do appreciate, and then moving if I understood correctly, the trash receptacle. Did you say that it's
The-
now on the south?
Well, no, the trash receptacle is in that same location, but the
Okay.
elevation difference is about 6 feet below where it is now, and it will be in an enclosure.
There's also trees at the top of that embankment.
Yes,
All right,
so it'll be screened.
okay. Well, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? And just so you know, that in the resolutions that I read, you'll hear those conditions that are part of the conditions. What happens if the board agrees tonight, we move forward with closing the public hearing and making a conditional adoption of this, but they have to satisfy all those conditions before they can move forward. So you'll hear those being read. Jim, any comments?
My only comment was that I'm not sure if anybody can hear me, so thank you, Craig. Pardon me. One of the conditions is to satisfy the county
Right.
as far as the drainage along South Road and from this property. And I just don't know if Mr. Burns has reviewed that condition, and I'm...
I haven't seen any resolutions.
Okay. Well, the potential resolution that the chair asked be drafted was one which was a conditional approval, but it is conditioned on getting a SWIP which is acceptable to CPL and the county. It's addressed the comments of county planning. The subsurface disposal, you've said you've taken care of that. Obviously, the approval of the septic from the county, which is
That's the same thing.
standard. And the other one, which you were just discussing, reads, delivery to the town of confirmation that the issue of drainage to South Avenue has been resolved to the satisfaction of the Dutchess County Department of Public Works, and I assume also the town engineer, including among other things, providing the county with a 10-foot wide drainage easement along South Avenue and receipt of a driveway access permit. So,
I don't necessarily agree with the description of a drainage easement. I think that it should be more vague.
10-foot wide easement.
Yes, for highway purposes or something like that, because they can't hold, you don't want them to be held to tie their hands as a drainage easement.
So just
well,
take
I
out-
raised that to make sure that you knew what was proposed and you have commented on it. And the core comes back to what Greg was saying, which is essentially the issue is along a county road, which it has jurisdiction over. And I'm not sure, I certainly don't speak for the county, but I'm not sure that the county would be paying for improvements that it requires.
The applicant will be paying for the improvements that are required. The county, is part of the entrance permit. The drainage situation is addressed as part of the entrance. So we need to obtain a permit for the entrance to the property, and as we obtain that permit, that will cover the drainage as well.
Fine.
So do you want to change it instead, so it doesn't specifically, so it's not limited to drainage, but it may cover drainage depending on what the county requires. So I'm thinking of changing the language to say, instead of saying a 10-foot wide drainage easement, to say a 10-foot wide easement for drainage or other purposes as necessary. So you're not, I can understand.
Yeah, I suppose it'd be drainage and, somebody mentioned potential utilities,
Sorry.
which could be drainage as well as cable and other stuff.
So
It could just be easement,
You don't think you need to put any
Okay.
because that, again,
iteration? Okay.
I mainly wanted to reiterate that that is what the county had requested, but ultimately it's going to be up to the county.
And they haven't said what they want to put
Well, no,
in, so-
I have their request, and it's just a comment, so it's not like formal, but it's due to the proximity of the property line to the road, the county is seeking a 10-foot easement to allow for the installation of future sidewalk, shoulder, and/or drainage system improvements.
So we don't need to have drainage in there, we can just put 10-foot wide easement,
Yeah.
okay.
Was the county looking for, I'm just trying to make sure this is clear.
This is
you
for
know.
future, it's not for right now, it's for if they do something if they decide to rebuild South Avenue and put sidewalks down it for some reason or not, they have or if they decide to redo South Avenue and they just want to widen out the shoulder a little bit to make it a little bit more of a comfortable driving situation, they have 10 feet to work with.
Okay, yeah, no, my question related to the route that the county might want taken for the water discharge.
Oh,
There's the potential.
That's to the
there's the-
roadside ditch, we've already,
Okay, so there's been no discussion or request about crossing?
it's going to go into the existing system where it crosses.
Okay, to
The
go
county's
north
been
and then
adamant about
cross,
us
okay.
actually making sure that the road is protected from our driveway, from discharging runoff from our driveway. We have, I think it's 6 feet at a -1% off the edge of the pavement. starts to ascend up the grade. So that first 6 feet is essentially a roadside ditch that's gonna continue down the side of the road to the north.
Okay, my purpose was simply to make sure that everybody's clear on the conditions, so.
Yes.
Good, I'm glad you are.
I have a question too, Jim, and I think we touched on this, but I was going to add it in, because if this is conditional final, and the conditions are met, they won't come back before us. So where we say payment of all fees, we have to include the recommendation for the recreation fees?
Yes, actually, yes, if they will not be back,
So-
yes.
Payment of all fees, including recreation fees, to be assessed by the town board for 4 housing units. Correct.
Yes, thank you.
Adding that in. All right. Any other comments? Questions?
Oh, not used to that.
So, I won't go through the legalities, but we've been having a discussion of seeker purposes, so as we're still in the public hearing for this application, before we close the public hearing, I would like to take a vote from the board that they are satisfied that the seeker determination can be a negative determination, not requiring a positive declaration of negative impacts for this, considering that we've considered drainage, lighting, situation, character of the neighborhood with the structure, et cetera. Does anyone have any further comments? So I'll make a motion that we vote to adopt a negative declaration for this application. Do I have a second? Second from Priya. All in favor? Great. Now I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Can I have a question answered?
Sure.
Sorry. He keeps saying, that the water will go into the existing discharge to the north. What is that?
The existing drainage.
There is no existing drainage. That's what we keep saying. There's none underneath the
I
ground.
think what Greg was saying is there's one that goes across the road, is there?
It's, the discharge is gonna go into the county roadside ditch, where it's gonna be conveyed to the north, to the first catch basin, where it's gonna go, and it's gonna go into that catch basin, and it's gonna be conveyed north through pipes to, a catch basin is further north up by the Verizon property, and then crosses over South Avenue and discharges to the
creek.
Wappingers Creek.
I just wanna say that is not possible.
There's nothing that has to go underground.
There's nothing there. There's nothing there
That,
underneath.
well, I'm gonna say this also, this is not a debate that we can have here, because it's, regardless of what happens to that water, it's not within our jurisdiction as the planning board. That's the county jurisdiction. We have asked that there's proof, and if the county comes back and says, yes, there is a pipe that goes from the catch basin to the Wappingers, then that's the county's jurisdiction, not our jurisdiction. So I understand what you're saying, that you don't think it's there, but it's not a debate we can have at this board level, because it's not our jurisdiction. So it doesn't, I'm not meaning to say it doesn't matter. If it's not there, it does matter that it's there, but it's up to the county to determine and work with the applicant showing that it's there. So, so I will make a motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second? Second from Eric. All in favor? Passing it down. All right. So now, with, the applicant understands that there are a list of conditions. If the conditions are met, then the plat can be signed by the chair at the time those are met. So you won't come back before this board unless there are significant changes. I think it's, Jim, we talked 180 days for.
Yes.
So you have 180 days to satisfy conditions as outlined in the conditional final. All right. So whereas a formal application for the approval of a 4-unit, 8-bedroom multifamily dwelling has been submitted for Michael Schroeder, and whereas upon review of the full environmental assessment form submitted, the planning board determined that this application is an unlisted action, and that the board would conduct a coordinated review and declared intent to be lead agency. The planning board circulated the intent for lead agency to all involved agency in the time period having expired with no expression of interest being received, and the application was referred to county planning with a response of local concern with comments being received. The planning board set a public hearing for 6:30 for August 13th, 2025, adjourned to September 10th, 2025, adjourned to October 8th, 2025, and adjourned to this evening, November 12th, 2025. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board has assumed lead agency status and receiving all of the submittals, finding no potential for a significant environmental impact, issued a negative declaration, and now therefore be it further resolved that the planning board closes the public hearing, and further resolved that after consideration of public comment and discussions, the planning board grants approval of the site plan and authorizes the planning board chair to sign the site plan and the zoning administrator to issue necessary building permits upon completion of such conditions as are noted below. The conditions are, number 1, receipt of a SWIP in form acceptable to the town engineer and the Dutchess County Department of Public Works. Number 2, delivery to the town of confirmation that the issue of drainage to South Avenue has been resolved to the satisfaction of the Dutchess County Department of Public Works, including, among other things, providing the county with a 10-foot wide easement along South Avenue and receipt of a driveway access permit. Number 3, applicant to revise the plans to address comments received from Dutchess County Planning. Number 4, the applicant take into consideration the reported location of the adjacent property subsurface disposal system in the location of the proposed water supply well. Number 5, receipt of an approval of the septic and water supply from the Dutchess County Department of Health. Number 6, the applicant to review and acknowledge time limits on the planning board approvals prior to issuance of a building permit, start of construction, and completion of construction. That would be time limits for all those various states. Number 7, payment of all fees, including the recreation fees to be assessed by the town board for 4 housing units created by this application. Do I have a second? Second from Priya. All in favor?
Do I have to ask the town board for a resolution for what the recreation fee is gonna be?
The town board sets the recreation fees, so we will send the town board a resolution from this board that says we recommend the assessment of fees for 4 housing units, and then they say what it is.
Okay, so I don't have to do anything?
No.
Okay.
No, they will let you know, and they vote on it. We have no
Okay.
control over that. All right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
The only other comment I've got, if I could, is there are different time periods for site plans, there are different time periods for building permits. So I'm sure you've got a chart on your wall.
I was gonna, read up the town code and make sure I have them all straight.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you again. I echo what Heather said. It's nice to see the changes, and it's more in keeping with sort of the character, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is proposed local law. This is, again, as we've done before, a discussion and a recommendation, either for or against adoption to the town board. If anyone's not aware of the genesis of this proposed law, in an area, this area, the permitted uses did not include general business, and it was proposed to put in a beauty salon there, and that was regarded, it wasn't specifically mentioned, and so it would not be allowed. So the town board is simply proposing to change basically the bulk table to allow general business to be used in that area. Does anyone have any comments, or?
My question is this general business, is there like sorry. For general business, is that a legal term, or is it just?
Yes, it's a,
And what does that include?
it's basically
Anything,
anything,
except for housing?
yeah.
Well,
It-
it's a little more, watch me keep talking.
Defined
while I
in your
try to
code,
look
but,
it up.
so,
But
I think,
I think it's under B for business general, right?
Sorry, I just didn't know, can you have like a dog kennel there, or,
Right.
stuff that maybe is not appropriate, but.
I think the general approach to general business would be that an applicant coming in, with proposing a new business, at least the way the code stands now, would still become before this board for a change of use. So if somebody's moving into what used to be an office, and it's now going to be something other than an office, whether it's a restaurant, a beauty salon, or whatever it is, as with all changes of use that we've done before, it would become before this board to see whether or not the use was adequate, adequate parking, adequate lighting for whatever the use proposed was.
Case by case.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
Special permit.
yeah,
it's a special permit then,
exactly.
and then, because the change of use doesn't have to go through zoning.
It does.
Okay.
It does, yeah. It comes through, go ahead, Jim.
Business, general. An establishment primarily engaged in selling goods and/or services to the general public. And then it goes on, the existing code talks about, could include movie theaters, banks, financial institutions.
Could you speak up because
Oh, I'm sorry. Pardon me. A general business use, as currently defined, is an establishment primarily engaged in selling goods and/or services to the general public. This includes establishments such as movie theaters, banks, financial institutions, and health and fitness clubs. So, I suppose that having barber and beauty salons would be somewhat related to health and fitness.
And services.
And yes, services most broadly, yes.
Any objections, comments, any feeling about recommendation? Is it not working?
Sit
There
down.
the red light's on it.
So, thank you, Chair. I'm just wondering why this came about now, just musing about it. Is there something that's out there that's unspecified, that's not specified at this moment, that could give us a heads up on what's coming down the pike? I say that also because we have, according to the zoning map, there is an office industrial area between Rossway Road and Mill Lane that is now occupied on Route 44, that's taken up with solar panels, and the rest of that parcel that is not used for solar panels is under conservation easement. So I see there's one more generously sized industrial area to the west side of the hamlet of Pleasant Valley. And even though we might not see the immediate need for industry and office use today, I'm wondering if there's a potential that we're pushing aside for some very valid reason or not. Just wondering. This is coming from the town board, so I wonder if the town board can be more explicit on what their desire is for this property.
Do that. My understanding is that Mrs. Senft, through herself or through her family, has a property on Charles Street, which is used for industrial purposes. that there was an interest in having a beauty or bar and/or barber shop.
A what?
There was an interest in having a barber and/or beauty salon
Okay.
on that parcel. And that's what I know about it, and that was the
I-
genesis of this.
Yeah, I would just offer, I mean, you know, I understand like motivating, you know, interests, right, in, you know, changing, you know, the law. I think that, you know, in some ways it's gonna be inappropriate to discuss like a specific situation as being a reason that this is happening. I think it raises an issue in terms of planning that's worth consideration, and you know, I think the question is warranted, certainly, right? You know, think about this in a broader context, but you know, it sounds to me like this particular situation is, you know, was motivating for the town board to think about changing the law to accommodate, you know, maybe an overly restrictive, you know, set of rules around uses in these districts. So that's all.
I think that's true. Anyone else, or anyone want to propose a recommendation? Thumbs up, thumbs down. I don't think it, I'm not sure that, but if someone feels strongly about it, that you want to add in comments, because your comment is legitimate, Suzanne, that, you know, basically what you're saying is the office industrial that was on Pleasant, on 44 is gone, because it's either easement or solar panels. And will this have small businesses come in and push out any industrial? And I guess my feeling is I leave that to the town board. Because it will come back to us to consider whether it's an appropriate use. It should
Okay.
come back to us for a change of use in any building that they would decide to occupy. So, does anyone feel strongly either way? Is it possible to tell them matter of local concern?
Well, the board has said to the zoning board in the past, you know, we appreciate the referral and leave the issue to the discretion of the board.
That's the way I feel.
Yeah,
is-
I think
But-
what Jim said about there being possibly the code is overly restrictive, and there's some business, a barber shop or
Yeah.
a salon that wants to go, I think it's reasonable. I mean, I wouldn't oppose it for standing on
Right,
that.
on the grounds. So I think I would make a motion just saying that the board supports the decision of the town board.
I have no objection at all, just want to say that first. But I did speak to Pat Lambert about this specific, and the only thing I shared with him is that a barber shop has a significantly greater water and sewer use than a office.
Than an office,
So they would have to take that into consideration with the size of
And
the
that would
septic
be
system.
something that would be an individual,
Right,
if
so
it
it's, I have no
comes before-
objection to the
yeah.
change in the zoning,
They
but
change
in,
the zoning, but if it comes back before, that's something that would have to be highlighted.
right, because if it
So-
was changed to a general business retail,
Right,
then it
then
probably
it's not
wouldn't
going to
have
have
a
any
change,
effect.
but
Okay.
just
So
leave it.
I'll just make a motion that the board is unopposed and it's subject to the discretion of the town board. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Suzanne. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. All right, so last item on the agenda is catching up with minutes, beginning with August 13th, 2025. As presented, does anyone have any additions or corrections? Hearing none, I make a motion to adopt the minutes of Wednesday, October 13th, 2025 as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Heather. All in favor? Great. The next is Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. Does anyone have any corrections or additions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes of Wednesday, September 10th, 2025 as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Priya. All in favor? Okay. And third, the minutes of Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. Does anyone have any additions or corrections? Hearing none, I will make a motion to adopt the minutes of Wednesday, October 8th, 2025 as presented. Do I have a second? Second from Eric. All in favor? All right, thank you very much, and I will make a motion to close the meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from everyone. Thank you very much.